Rick Rubin. When the work has 5 mistakes, it is not yet completed. When it has 8 mistakes, it might be.
Hi, I'm Corrin. This podcast is called The Ache, an ode to the existential ache of being human, that still small voice tugging inside every single one of us, prompting us to change, move, grow, become more of our authentic selves. This is conversations with people who dance with the ache.
So I was at an art show. I think it's the other art show. I don't know if that's correct. I feel like I should have looked that part up before. But I was at an art show on the east side. And I had been there before, and I was walking around, and there was some sections where the art was pages from books, and like whether it's like been repurposed or like framed or part of like a collaged piece. And one of the pieces from one of the artists that kind of drew my eye said, when the work has 5 mistakes, it is not yet completed. When it has 8 mistakes, it might be. And I thought about that for like days. On the drive home, I woke up the next morning, I was like, oh my God, who said this? And I ended up Googling it, and it was producer Rick Rubin, and it was a page from one of his, I guess his newest book. And in kind of doing research on like that kind of section of the book or that page, he kind of talks about how the idea of fixing mistakes is what we think gets us to the end of the process, and it just doesn't work that way. And I was like, that is such a beautiful way to work or live or be creative.
That is the voice of Cameron Cowperthwaite. He is an actor, a filmmaker, and a dear friend of mine. I met Cameron when we were filming American Horror Stories. He was acting on an episode and I was intimacy coordinating, which was perfect because we are both people who have a penchant for diving into stories that have more shadowy, scary, intense aspects. In fact, Cameron always has sex and dies in pretty much every show he's in.
I think all of us creatives, and honestly people, the whole idea of growing or being in therapy or anything like that is like work from a place of mistakes to get to the end of the process. But I just love that, like, fixing mistakes, this idea of fixing the mistake is, I think, something that we hone in on. And I just love that that quote tells you that that's not the way to do it. It's fascinating. I still think about it. Like, and I don't go to art shows frequently, but man, it's just this reset, this idea that like when you look at a horizon line, there's actually like a biological and chemical reset in your brain. If you like go to a beach and look at a horizon line, yeah, like there's actually a reset. And I feel like in some regards, going and looking at art and being around that type of thing or that type of creative process is like a reset. You find these things. I would have never known that quote. It just
You're not a Rick Rubin head.
No, I mean, I think I'm fascinated by that guy's life. You know, now I want to read the book. But that's also what's interesting is like you see this quote and now I want to read it. Now I am more curious about this man and like now I need to know the life of who came up with that quote. Yeah, it's fascinating. I had I guess it's like a rule of 3 degrees, 2 degrees, whatever it is, but I did a music video at the end of last year. I think it's supposed to come out this year for Neil Diamond, like a song that
my God.
I didn't meet Neil Diamond, but it was
iconic.
Iconic. And Rick Rubin is the producer on his last album. Like what he did for, oh my God, was it Elton John? Like a re-release of his last album or a production of his last album. He's doing the same thing with Neil Diamond. And they shot this like little music video for one of the songs, and I got to be in it. So like now hopefully it'll come out like, hey Rick, I really appreciated your quote. If I ever get to meet him, he'll be like, oh cool, man.
I
thanks.
think he'd love that.
I think he would think it was rad.
Yeah. And I love that you like discovered it at an art show at this horizon reset moment for your brain of just like, right.
It was that. And honestly, what's crazy is, you know, I know like I've been in my woo lately. Like
I love it.
Yeah. I did some abundance candle lighting last night and some tarot.
Yes. What did you pull?
I pulled, it's so like, it's so funny how the universe like kind of gives you these things. 'Cause I've been on the cusp of this like nostalgic reliving of what I thought like the greatest time of my life was, and
Which is?
I think it's an amalgamation of like parts of your childhood and college. Like just, I think the blanket statement is that it was when life was simple, when it was like you woke up and do you remember like when you woke up and went to school and went home and that was your only responsibility?
Yes. Well, my other responsibility was to make myself look cunt before school. Like I had to do my hair and my makeup.
I didn't. I just had to make sure my left shoe was on my left foot, and that was it.
I was busy straightening my hair. I had the streaks. I had like my dark eyeliner and like my safety pins in my jacket. Like
I was like, which celebrity actor am I trying to cut my hair like this month? Like that was my biggest
I had the fucking
issue.
plunge bra. Do you remember that bra that all the girls had that was like maybe you don't because you don't have tits to put in a bra, but they made this bra that was ridiculous, and I can't remember what it was called, but it would like push up. It was like the most intense push-up bra. Your like cleavage was at your chin. And I had one, and I would like love to like put it on to go to school.
Oh, and I went to Catholic school.
Oh, yeah. Was it all boys?
No.
Oh.
No.
Ooh.
It was I think my high school, I went to Catholic school for like elementary, then went to public school. So because my parents were like, truthfully, like you need to know more than just like white people.
Right.
Like we need to like, this is not life, you know? So I went and had a different experience for public school. And then I went back to private school for high school but Catholic. Yeah. So I'm sure
okay,
that was...
we need to get into that, but first, what tarot cards did you pull?
Oh, yeah. So I've been on this, like, it was so weird. And I know this sounds silly, but I was having a conversation with my girlfriend the day before we did the tarot, because I was like, I want to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And while we were eating it, I was like, man, this just brings me back. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I've been I've been in this like thinking about time and the simpler times and when it was good. Even with like the acting stuff I've talked about, like God, it was so different when ... So I'm doing the abundance candle. She's with me. We're pulling the card. I pulled the 6 of Cups upright. Oh. The entire card is about times being simpler. Nostalgia. I got like goosebumps.
And it was upright.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. I was like, holy shit. Like,
yeah.
What? Because and also like I the question I had asked before I pulled the single card was like, what energy do I need to bring like into 2025? Like, what should I be searching for energetically this year? And I just couldn't believe, after all that I had been thinking about, what the
card was.
How crazy is that?
I mean,
That's
to
crazy.
Me, it's not even crazy because I've been doing tarot for so long.
I know. You probably are like, I'm like, yes, exactly. My son.
Well, it's just been such a big part of my life. I remember, maybe he'll hear this, so I won't say his name, but you know who you are, and I love you and I miss you. A friend of mine, we were like briefly dating, and during that period, and he's been a friend of mine for like 12 years, and during that period he would come over and we would pull tarot cards. He pulled the same card like 3 times because he kept being like, it's all bullshit, let me pull a card. And he pulled like the same card funny. Like 3 times.
A non-believer.
And he was like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah.
I just will never forget that, because he was like, this is fucked.
Did you convert the non-believer?
No, I think he still was like, this is weird and fucked, but he's also, you know, he's a creative, so I think he's like also open to possibilities.
No, and it's to me, I feel like everybody I've talked to that likes, and honestly, so many people, especially as we're getting older, I feel like really do embrace the tarot thing, or even, you know, the zodiac sign stuff, anything that can feel tangible, because I feel like we're all looking for like a tangible sign or picture or image or paragraph to read that can help explain like, why am I feeling the way that I'm feeling.
Yeah,
and I think
symbolism.
just anything that can give me solace, you know. And honestly, like, my girlfriend and I, we were sitting there and we were like, it's so nice to have this start a dialogue about X, Y, or Z. It just is expansive. It's just something that I've been enjoying doing, and it's just like, it's nice. It just makes me feel like I feel like I stood up and I was like, wow, I feel lighter.
Do you have your own deck? Or
Well,
do you
my
share
girlfriend
with,
does. Yeah.
with Caroline?
Yeah, she has one.
Okay. Does she have like multiple decks, or just like
No, just one.
just traditional, the Rider-Waite?
Yeah. Just a traditional, and we'll do like, I mean, it's not like we do it like religiously, like every couple months, but like we try to every now and then like pull a card and then actually like talk about it, and talk about what you see in the card, and like we just let that conversation flow naturally, you know.
I love it.
And then you end up having like a connection. Look at that.
All those are up there.
Look at all this text.
And then my traditional deck is in my backpack that I take to work, because sometimes people were bored on set, and I'll be like, I'll read you.
I remember I think we like had all grabbed a celebratory beverage after.
Oh, and I was reading cards.
Yeah, stories.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
I was reading your cards.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah.
I was like and at that point I was very open to the reading, but I was like, Corrin knows too much.
Listen, the cards can be very scary. Like, also,
especially when it's like a change or something that feels in yourself, when you know you want the
and
card
you
to be
don't
like,
wanna
I'm gonna
confront
fucking
it.
win something.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to pull some lottery ticket that has some card that's like what pentacle that's like, yeah, energy's coming to me.
9 of Pentacles, 10 of Pentacles. Yeah.
But that's not always what it's about.
No, and I think it's really helpful for like looking at resistant places within yourself, and like looking at, like, I just did a reading for myself that was very good, that I actually posted on the podcast Instagram. So if people want to check that out, it's on there. Next to the eroticism book, it's like laying on a floor on set. And it was such a good reading, and I wasn't expecting it to be good. It was like the opposite. Like, I was like in the middle of some shit, and I was like, I'm probably gonna get some cards that are like, you need to like make some big changes or whatever.
Yeah.
But the cards, really, the encouragement was like, root yourself in like planning for your future venture, and you're the fucking star. Like, enjoy being the star bitch. And by the way, you're reaping the rewards of all the fruits of your labor are like coming to you. And you need to just like root into that and plan and just like chill and be the fucking star. And I was like, fuck, okay.
Yeah, it's a total ownership. And sometimes we just need the reminder of the obvious. Because you are a rock star. You're writing, you're directing. Like, even the stuff we've made together, you know, it's favorite. Just like, it's inspired. It's not pretentious. You're making it for yourself. Like, you're one of the few artists I know that actually makes stuff for themselves. Like, I'm learning.
What else would you do?
Well, I feel like to be frank, as an
Tell
actor,
me.
right, with our ego stroking,
right.
Look, to be real, I feel like half the time I'm like, I'm gonna win a fucking Oscar.
Yeah.
Like, I'll do a self-tape and be like, I think I just won an Academy Award. And that's just not...
As you should, though.
But I'm realizing, honestly, like, with the short that I made that's been finding success in these film festivals...
The aliens don't like white people, right?
Aliens don't like white people.
I will link it in the bio.
Oh, well, it's you should come to the Beverly Hills... We got into the Beverly Hills Film Festival.
Please, when is it?
April 5th.
Okay.
But it's been an incredible learning lesson, in the sense that, like, I have tried to, like, make things that's going to showcase this or that, and this truly probably was the first thing I made where I made it with a buddy because we thought it was funny. Like, we set out and we were like, I don't think anybody else is gonna think this is funny at all, but I'm laughing. And normally on a short, you can only hire like 1 or 2 friends. Like, it's just the nature of the medium. It's like 12 minutes of whatever, you can't pack it full of people.
If it's us.
Yeah. But I got to we had a huge ensemble, just the nature of the film kind of called for it, but that was sort of purposeful to like give everybody like a line or a moment, like. And now it's getting into this and getting into that and getting into this, and I was like, what a good lesson.
Yeah.
Like, just truly make stuff that you want to see that doesn't exist. Like, I know it sounds obvious, but that
it's
seeing
hard
the manifestation,
to do.
the physical manifestation of it is like, damn. Everybody who's right who's telling me this.
It's hard to do in a way because exactly what we were talking about at the beginning with the mistakes. If it has 5 mistakes, it's not done. If it has 8, maybe it is. Yeah. And it's the same, I think, with the Chinese proverb and like everything we're talking about of like, can you manufacture a result? Not really. Mm-mm. Kind of, sure. But maybe
you can like
the result is the feeling in the moment.
And you can probably like arguably look at an equation and be like 1 + 1 = 2. So if I add this and I add that, I should.
But it's missing heart. Like, it's missing soul. Like, people love.
And it's missing risk.
Yes.
I think what that quote also I feel like, and when you look at like a career like Rick Rubin's, when you kind of realize who the quote is from, you're like, man, that dude took chances. Mm-hmm. It was interesting. I saw on an article, I was such a fan of Gene Hackman and his passing, that the tragedy of that, it's so strange to me. I think sometimes when someone passes away is the opportunity where we write articles about who this person was.
Isn't that funny? The artist is always, so many famous painters died poor.
Yeah.
And now they're like the most famous painters like in
Ever.
the world.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy. But it's also the Maya, like the earth. Like, we love to just be terrified of death, celebrate birth, be like, oh my God, what a tragedy when people die. I'm always like, it is, but it's also like the most inevitable thing.
Yeah.
Like, to have a birth is almost more rare than to have a death. Everyone meets the death.
Yeah.
And like you said, why don't we celebrate life more when we're alive and when we're like...
And going back to my tarot card, the warning of that 6 of Cups cards really was like, yes, look back fondly or with a loving eye to those simpler times, but don't try to relive it. Be cautious. Like the cautious part of that card was, yes, of course, it was amazing, but like right now
is also
amazing. Yeah,
amazing.
is amazing.
Yeah.
And it just was something I needed to hear. Truly.
Yeah.
As I've been, like I said, this whole year, I feel like every year it starts off with the fire. It's just like,
oh my God, the fire.
I feel like I go into every New Year's being like, yo, this is gonna be the year, and then January is 4,000 days long because it's just like we're dealing with all of this shit. But I think that's where the progression of my thoughts kind of went, which was like, man, I just want to go back to the simpler times and kind of owning that like now is also like I wonder, and my girlfriend said this, she was like, I wonder if when you're 45 you'll look back on this apartment that we have like, oh my God,
remember when we just had that cute little apartment and like we didn't have to deal with this large mansion that we now have to like manicure and maintain. Yeah. But it's true though, like with success, like the show that I'm working on, I won't say the name because I don't know what I can say or not, but it's like an aspirational, affluent, like show. And so we're shooting in all these houses that are like insane. And all I keep thinking when I'm in them, I'm like, this is amazing. But also living in this would be insane because you have to manage a staff. You have to manage like all these people.
Just think about what you just said. You have to manage a staff for your house. It's crazy. It's crazy. Just the thought of that is, I don't even know if I want that. Like, I don't even like, to be honest, like, I don't even like sleeping with my partner in a king bed. It's too far away.
You need to be in a little twin.
Yeah, a
My
twin
God,
queen is
that's
perfect.
so cute.
I ought to be able to move.
We sleep in a full size
See, magic.
It's
the
beautiful.
king is like disturbing.
because you're
I feel
oceans
lost.
away.
Yeah, it feels like if I have to fully extend my arm, I'm too
far.
rich.
You know what? That's so funny. Oh my God. I was thinking about this is like a non sequitur. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
I was thinking about your career trajectory, and I think it's worth talking about on the podcast about let Cameron live. Kip Myers, if you hear this, Kip started that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you did. Yeah. The campaign.
I just want to
campaigns.
talk about that because
I'm Sean Bean at this point. I mean,
amen.
have you
yes.
seen his death reel?
Oh, I want to see it.
It's like 9 minutes long.
Have you put one together for you?
No, everybody jokes about that.
You
and I
need
feel
like an
I should.
orgasm death, like back to back.
I was having that conversation. I was with a friend last night. Shout out to Jake Day, who's a PA on a myriad of shows and just like such a hard worker, and like we bonded, and I was with him last night, and he literally was like, you gotta stop dying, man. And I was like, yeah,
like,
from
I'm
your lips to
trying.
God's ears,
You're
my
trying.
friend. Like, I'm trying.
But there's something really beautiful about it, and I think we should like philosophize about it if you're willing to.
I am.
Because you have, okay, for a context audience, Cameron has had all of these roles where you fuck
Or die.
or you fuck and then die.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like
the combination is when I book something and I tell my friends I booked it.
They're like,
they
are you
say,
fucking
are you
or dying?
fucking dying or both?
Yeah.
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 It's crazy.
But think about it.
Even my
Le
girlfriend's
Petit
like,
Mort.
who are you fucking and who's killing you?
Yes, exactly. Le Petit Mort, the little death, the orgasm, right? And then the death. Mm-hmm. I feel like your subconscious, and I've told you this before, and I've been like, I need you to like philosophize in your own heart about this, because I think we all like to some extent are attracted to or like attract to us something that like is resonant with our being. And I just wonder if you have any thoughts or feelings or ideas on like why these like extreme expressions of like very human, very visceral, like sex and death, and they're like,
And it's not like love making either.
no, it's like fucking.
Yeah, it's like
I mean, the thing that we met
aggressive.
on,
Jesus.
you were a corpse getting fucked. Well, not a real corpse,
And
but
then
like
flash forward having sex in a grave while being buried alive.
while being buried alive. I love that scene.
I have had these thoughts about like why, and maybe this is more existential than
That's exactly what this is about.
but maybe, and I just feel like I think I'm just in this, and I was having this conversation the other day too, of just like this purge of like I think I have a temper and a tendency to like get like pent up vibrations. And I wonder if these scenes that I'm doing are nuts. But I will admit, in the nuts aspect, like both on the violent side and the sexual side, and it's determined on your scene partner. Mm-hmm. If your scene partner is incredible and kind and lovely, like, then I think that's the piece to that equation we were talking about, 1 + 1 = 2. So you have like the opportunity of the scene. Then you have a partner who is lovely and sweet and patient, and what you get is total freedom
To really explore and extricate those vibrations and give them an outlet.
And I feel like whenever I've performed in that space, like it's almost like I had a good cry or something. It's odd. I just like, it's an interesting excuse. Acting is such an interesting excuse to let go, and none of the people that I play are these like contained, like normal. There's a freakism to like what is coming my way, I think, or what I'm putting on tape or what I'm laying down or what I get the opportunity to work on. But it does feel like the best version of out of body without consequence.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get in trouble.
It's perfect shadow integration work.
Yeah.
It's perfect like taking the dark subconscious and bringing it into the conscious light and just like pushing it out.
I can actually almost like wear the shadow.
Yeah.
and then take the shadow off, and I'm not going to get in trouble.
Yeah. It's why I love cinema.
Yeah.
Because you can go and you can watch the most fucked up shit or experience, or as an actor act it, or for me as a filmmaker write it and put it into being. And it's almost hidden behind that, like, it's art, it's expression, it's like not really, and it's true, it's like not real, quote unquote, but it's very real when you're like making it in that moment in terms of energetic expression.
Your body doesn't know you're lying.
No.
Which I think is why I had an acting coach say that to me, and I was like, wow, that's such an interesting existence for the creative, that your system doesn't understand that you're not going through loss or grief or love, and I think that's where, you know, lines can get blurred and people can, you know, run away with each other on set or what have you. But I think if you have a good handle on that, like you said, that shadow integration, that like turning it on and turning it off, can really allow you to like find some things out about yourself
and heal as a human, because like how beautiful that we have that space as artists to like fully express, because I don't know what I would do without that space, because all this shit, well, I'll tell you what I would do, because I know, because I used to not have this full expression, and I would fucking drink myself into oblivion and cause chaos in my own life. Like,
because we want to, I feel like
we want to feel extreme shit. Yeah.
We flirt with edges, I think, as people, and we try to push boundaries, especially the creative, those who really own that side of their brain. I think you're looking for something, and I feel...
Well, I think anyone, like video games, think about how big video games are. It's extreme. You're like, especially first-person shooter stuff. Like,
which, by the way, I fucked that shit up.
Yeah. I mean, I love...
Actually, I get fucked up by these 12-year-olds.
Do you play Call of Duty? Do you play Lily's game?
Yes.
Do you ever see her in the game, Helen Park?
Yeah.
Like, I love it.
I've been played as her.
Oh my God, Lily, are you hearing this?
I think last time I saw her was at like the Golden Globes, and I was like, this is probably not the time to be like...
Did you tell her?
No.
She would have loved that.
I should.
Yeah, she's the kind of person that if you lay some shit down like that on her, she's gonna be like, oh my God, she's the best.
No, I should definitely just write a
you
private
tell her,
message.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way.
Tell her, she'll love that. But where were we? Oh, the extreme like expressions. Yeah, but video games, like, I think even people, if they're non-creative, like so many people are attracted to this. So many people want to watch a horror movie, or like want to like, people, why are we here as souls? I have no fucking idea. But clearly we like turmoil, because look at this world. Like, it has always been in turmoil. There's always been fucked up shit happening. And like, clearly we must all like it on some weird subconscious collective level, even though we're always like fighting against it. But like, it never stops. It just like keeps going. So
it's got to
like,
be consequence. It has to be. I think it's got to be like, I can exact revenge by watching this revenge film, but I don't have to go to prison for it.
Yeah.
Like and honestly, I was at a film festival, and it was like a genre film festival, so the conversations were very much about the thriller, the psychological thriller, the erotic thriller, the horror film, and what we get and why that genre is the only genre that sells on the genre. And you don't need 800 actors in a movie that to get it made, because I think we want to feel that powerful.
It's an amazing feeling. I mean, I was afraid of it. I mean, were you raised religious, or did you just go to Catholic school?
My family was like a Christmas and Easter kind of family.
Got you.
So like we did the C&E kids, as we were called. It's a serious thing. and I feel like you did the mass and you went to.
I'm C&E Catholic, I guess, because we went to mass on Easter,
Christmas
on
and
Christmas,
Easter.
yeah.
That's most of the people I grew up with.
But I'm not Catholic. I love Catholicism because it's so sexy and like just so like ritualistic. I love when they bring out the thurible with all the fucking incense.
I love drinking at like 8 years old, I think.
Yeah,
is what it was.
the
like
wine.
The wine. Yeah.
And I love that Catholics.
I felt so bad. I was like, just having a little bevy.
Just having a little shot ski.
Yeah.
A little shot ski from the priest.
Yeah.
The blood of Christ.
Yeah, the blood of Christ. I was compelled.
Ooh, yes, you were. So my question with that is just like, here's another, it's twofold. It's one, I was going to ask if you had any repression like of your shadow aspects from religion or from your parents, or were they more like accepting of anger and extreme expression?
I think I got a lucky upbringing with all that stuff, because my parents were they weren't hippy dippy. They were very rule oriented. Like, you just like would not trifle on my mother's rules or the house or whatever. But at the same token, there was this polarizing difference in my life than my friends, whose parents were very involved in making the decision before the kid had the chance to make the decision, if that makes sense. Like, my parents gave me enough rope to hang myself with. And what was weird was, or not weird, but what I found when I was like juxtaposed against like what my friends were dealing with is like, I could go out on a Wednesday night. If my GPA was above a certain number, I could do whatever I wanted. And honestly, what was weird was I watched friends like sneak out of the house and like,
that was
like
me.
sneak. Yeah. And like, I just walked out the front door. And I never felt this like rebellion because I didn't have to. Like, you know when a parent was like, I want you to call me if you've been drinking in high school. Like, I want you to call. Like, please call me. But then they like lay into you. And I saw that with friends. Like, their parents would be like, no, you should call. Like, I'll come pick you up. And then they get grounded for half the year. So guess what you're not going to do?
Call.
And my parents were like, please call. And then I did. And if I was in trouble, like, I called. And like, they were like, you okay? I was like, yeah, sorry. And they're like, no, all good. No punishment.
That's so interesting.
And I could always call. I could always do that. I never felt this like, it's weird that I also like hate authority. And
Well, I do too. I don't think that has to do with people being overly
but I wonder
authoritative.
if it's because I had this trusting like, you view your parents as authority figures.
Yeah.
And I think my authority figures were
you had
very
autonomy.
democratic.
Yeah,
And I had autonomy. I could like, all I had to it was an all or nothing. Like, I held my GPA. I had every privilege. That GPA dropped. I lost all of them. So it was like, this is how this
Like, hold up your end of the deal, and this is, and it was fair.
You hold up your end of the deal.
Yeah. What I love about that too is like, to your point of like the parents that would be like, call and then ground you. It's almost like a weird bait and switch, or like a not trusting of you as a child. Like, it's not treating you like not that parents need to treat their kids as an equal, quote unquote, but like treating you as a sovereign soul in a way of being like, your parents said one thing and it was what it was.
Yeah.
Versus maybe those other parenting styles, it's like they're saying one thing to try to manipulate you to try to get a result, not like saying the truth.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that kind of trickled down into like everything, you know, like I'm named after my dad's best friend, and my dad's best friend in the 70s came out to my dad as gay. My dad was the first person. I mean, everybody knew, you know, the theater world in the 70s and 80s,
Right.
but like, it was scary. It was really scary, and I think because my parents, who met at a Shakespeare festival, were artists themselves first and foremost, it just like, I didn't know like people didn't like people who were different from them until I was like way older. Like the jokes of that stuff didn't come out, for lack of a better term, until I was like way older, and I was like, what?
You're like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is I was raised very religious, but my parents are very tolerant and very empathetic and very communicative and very like emotionally open. And so it was a weird thing. It's not like your typical, even though I was raised stricter than most people who say like, oh, I'm Christian, oh, I'm Catholic. No,
Yeah.
I was homeschooled. I was in a church event multiple times a week. I was at Bible study fellowship. I was like doing all this shit. But at the same time, my parents were like, you know, my dad showed me the movie Monster. Like,
Oh, no way.
yeah, like we watched it. He doesn't remember this, but like he showed me that, and he was like, so like, this is all bad things, but like, isn't it just a beautiful like performance? And like, she's an amazing actor.
My
And
dad
it
took me
just-
to R-rated movies when I was 8 years old because he wasn't going to go by himself.
Oh my God. See, I love it. But my parents weren't doing that. Like, I was probably 17 when like I watched that movie with my dad. But it's like there was always like this side of, they were very religious and very like Jesus and very like right and wrong in that regard. But there was you know, they had plenty of friends from a bunch of different demographics that weren't Christian, and I was exposed to those people, and it was like not like, oh, us and them vibes.
Yeah.
So it was a weird upbringing for me.
I feel like I owe so much of like what we're talking about, this like the nostalgia, actually even your question with the performance, like and inviting those things in, is I just feel like my parents just, and my upbringing, like I just never knew what I find most people like I see in acting classes are going through, which is this like break free of the structure, or like get out of yourself, or get out of your own way. Like I think one of the attributing factors to any version of success that I am humbled by, I think, is truly that I have just never had to worry about like changing or doing anything different. You know, it was like, I had a friend tell me once that I really appreciated this. They were like, you're just unequivocally yourself all the time. And I was like I'm, for example, like an Eagles fanatic. So when they won the Super Bowl, I was like,
you were
like,
posting.
Well, like
I was seeing that shit.
When Bradley Cooper was asked on Howard Stern, like Oscar or Super Bowl, and without hesitation, he said Super Bowl, I probably would have said it before the question came to an end. Like I'm like, my dream of success is like, if someone's like, what's your dream of success? I'm like, I want to sit with Bradley Cooper in that owner's box at Lincoln Financial Field, and then I've made it. I can mic drop after that point. But I was at my friend's house and I was like cheering. Half the people I had never met, and I was just like, most people I feel like would be like, oh, I should be like this way because I just don't know these people, and I was just like,
well, I think that's the reason that for number one, why I would wanted you to come on the podcast, and because those are the only people I ask on the podcast.
No, I'm honored to be.
The only people that you hear here are people that I feel are fully like themselves, and number two, why I like you so much, and why I like to work with you, and why I like to be your friend.
Thank you. That's honestly, that makes my heart like feel full that you said that. Because I look at you that way. I'm like, man, and so does everyone. Like everyone I know that is like cross paths with you, or like they're just like, dude, she just knows who she is and what she wants, and you're just like, yeah. Like we were talking before, but you were the one that kind of mentioned to me like, hey, just remember that no is a complete sentence.
Yeah. Well, I have to tell myself that too.
I know. But we all need the reminders of the obvious. But like, it is nice when we can bestow that to
each other,
to friends and each other, and be like, fuck, man, no is a complete sentence. Do you want to go?
No. Nope. Do you want to do this? No. Well, I feel like when I'm around you, and I just recorded, the last person I recorded was Joe Michaud, who plays Sergey in Killers.
Oh yeah,
and he's
great performance.
Isn't he great? Mm-hmm. And he's a director. He doesn't usually act.
Well,
and like he should, because he's so fucking good. But I told him the same thing, where I feel very similarly, even though you guys are very different, but you have that same thing where you're both just unapologetically yourself. I think his upbringing, he had more breaking free of structures. He had more of an upbringing like me. But I always tell him, like, when he goes to the extreme, or when I see him like being like the most extreme quote unquote version of himself, it makes me feel good, because I'm like, I love him and he's doing that, and I feel the same way about you. Mm-hmm. Like when you're like being your fullest self and being wild and like in the best way, gives me permission to do it more myself. And I love it because I see you doing that, and I'm just so excited, and I'm like, yeah, go.
Yeah, it's honestly, that's so fun. I feel the same way when you see people just like send it.
Yeah.
Just fully send it.
Yeah.
And I actually had a friend, I won't name the friend, but I had a friend who was, going through some stuff in acting class, and he was like, man, I feel like I can't do this thing. And I was like, fuck up on purpose. Don't tell anybody. Don't give yourself a back door, but fuck up on purpose. Go in there and mess up, and just realize that like nobody cares. Half the people are going to be on their phone. Like,
yeah. And
then once you have that freedom, because you've tasted what it actually, the physical manifestation of fucking up, and realizing that the consequences aren't that bad, like you really just like the level of embarrassment I feel like now in my life is like so low. Like if I stumble over something or fuck something up, I'm just like, that's so funny, isn't it?
Yes.
Instead of being like, oh God, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And it's a powerful thing.
I saw this thing the other day that one of the girls actually from Not Your Daddy's, your friend.
Oh, Carly.
Yeah, Carly.
Yeah.
Not her, but this the other host, Vika, posted this thing that was like a carousel of comments that people had made on like what's the like most like silly thing you do in your day or something like that.
Yeah.
To like make your life fun. And one of them I loved so much that this girl was like, every time I mess up or like drop a plate or break something or like fuck up on like miss the exit, I say, and scene. And she laughs.
I love
and it makes
that.
her laugh. And so
I mean, that makes me laugh. I think that's so, if I saw that character affectation in a film, I would be like, that's so real. That is pulled from something. You know, that is so funny.
And it's and scene. And it just like makes you, it's like going back to the fucking full circle to the beginning of our conversation of like, if it has 5 mistakes, it's not ready. If it has 8, it might be ready. Mm-hmm. Is like
total ownership that like
the process is the thing.
Yeah.
Like, and if you weren't having fucking fun or whatever it is that you want to have, because maybe you don't want to have fun, maybe you want to like, everybody likes to feel a different feeling. But if you aren't feeling whatever the feeling is that you like to feel during your process, what are you doing? Because you're going to fucking kick it. You're going to die. Yep. And like, we don't know when that is going to be. And like, if we're not having a nice time in our day-to-day, like what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah. And then we have this, I got to remind myself of all these obvious things too, this like chasing perfection. But we got to remember like the wrinkles on your face are from laughing.
Yes.
Yes. As we try to like cover it all up.
Or me fucking, my wrinkles are from this, from looking at my phone.
Furrowing my brow.
I have the fucking 11s so bad because I look at my phone with a furrowed fucking brow.
Yeah, my hunchback neck from just like staring and doom scrolling.
The wrinkles on our face are from laughing and staring at our phones.
Which is fun. And scene. Which, to be honest, staring at the phone is fucking fun and I think it's okay. And I've been like, Jacques and I will lay in bed and just watch IG reels together and laugh. And like, it's so fun.
No, honestly, I hate to say it sometimes because there is this like toxic politicized labeling that we do with like the doom scrolling or Instagram reels, but like I love to cook. Like love to cook.
That's right. You and Jacques.
Yeah, and I can.
Oh,
like,
the
I
two
will
of you
boast
boys
about
are
that,
like,
actually.
Caroline and I are lucky bitches.
I can make it at this point. I can make anything I want, right? And I've like bought the tools to do so. So like my kitchen is built around like making good food. Caroline and I don't even go to fucking restaurants anymore.
Oh my God.
Because like, why would I pay if I could just make this? I have to confess that like most of like, oh man, I could make that, or that's how I could do that, or this recipe, like it's Instagram reels.
Dude, I get so much from IG reels. Like there was a while where I was like, I should be on my phone less. And maybe I should. But to be honest, me being on my phone less ends up being a product of me putting my time and energy into things that I care about, like this podcast, like my films, like whatever. So as long as I'm doing that, it's fine for me to fucking scroll on my phone for 30 minutes because I laugh my ass off. I have a great time. I find inspiration for things. Yeah. I like chit chat with my friends, including you, and like on freaking Instagram DMs, and I love it.
Yeah, it's honestly like I am just trying to be purposeful with the time. Like if I'm gonna scroll, like I know it sounds weird because it's empty.
Be ready to scroll.
Like, you're like, I'm doing it with purpose.
It's not empty because you're finding recipes and you're being delighted, and that is not empty. Or inspired.
Like you see some acting thing and you're like, man, that was great, or like some tidbit. I mean, actor podcast, BTS stuff, like,
do you love it?
That's my jam.
That's the reason I made this podcast, because I'm fucking obsessed with podcasts. I just like
listening to people doing it and telling stories. Like honestly, like it's working on a set, and I think it is one of the few, well, I don't know if I could say few, but it is one of the few like class system structures I think we have in the workplace, where like number one on the call sheet all the way down is a class system. Mm-hmm. Where you are in relation,
above the line, below the line.
We even call it that.
Yeah.
But man, I think maybe growing up with my mom being a script supervisor, I just never saw it that way. And it was interesting when I was hanging out with my friend Jake last night, who's a PA. He's like, dude, you get in the muck, man. Like you hang out with the crew. And I was like, y'all have the best stories. Like, I almost wish people would, like, I feel like if I had a platform or a voice, what I would do is I would want to do a podcast and bring on, like, only crew members.
You should do that.
And just, their stories are wild.
They have the best stories.
Especially some of the people that have been around
because it's
for
not
a while. Like, you're talking, like, key grips that are, like, 60 years old that have worked with, like, Sylvester Stallone, or, like, I mean, like, back when Hollywood was, like, cooking with gas. Like, they have some crazy stories.
I used to be so scared to talk about anything because of NDA stuff, and because of, like, there's such a harsher punishment on crew members or people that are below the line if you say something in a public sphere. I don't know if other crew members feel this way, but I've felt like at different times I'm so scared to, like, talk because I don't have the protection of, like, a cast member or, like, a creative position.
They can't just cut me out.
Yeah. They can, like, be like, fuck you, whatever. There's such a fear, I think, in Hollywood of being, like, blacklisted or, like, you never gonna work again. And there's such a, like, weird, like you said, the weird class system and the hierarchy, and, like, the people at the bottom, quote unquote, is, like, the people that are carrying the whole thing on their backs. And any class system in the world.
Not to talk about this on the pod, but, like, the Baldoni, like,
that's
lively
what
thing.
I
I'm
was
like,
thinking.
I'm like, yeah, we're listening to what they're saying, but I'm a little bit, I think, just knowing
like,
what I know. I'm like, why don't you call
the first team PA?
I was gonna say, call the first team PA, the first AD, get the script supervisor, like.
But they're the people that fucking know, because they're gonna see it all.
No, it's even my mom has.
Oh, she knows everything.
Oh my god. She's been in this business for
the script
like 4 years.
soup knows everything. They're sitting there with the Comtech. They're like
there
watching.
every day.
They're sitting right next to the director.
One.
Like, also intimacy department of one.
Department of one.
Yeah, I feel like they're seeing a lot. Sound knows a lot. Like, a lot of people know a lot because they're right in there. But we're trained, I think, as crew members. I say we. I don't see myself as, like, the old guard because I was a PA. I was, second on, like, non-union stuff. But I was never, like, old guard vibes. Like, obviously I'm only 32 and I'm not, but I do feel that there's a culture of training people to not say anything and just take it and just be fucking quiet and don't, like, stand up and don't have your humanity because it doesn't matter because you can be replaced.
Yeah. And I mean, even on the sphere of acting, I feel like you're just it's so hard to get a job. I mean, like, you have to get struck by lightning standing in the same place twice to get cast in a show. And
then it's like, you better shut up and say your lines and do what they're telling you to do, and you're a doll walking.
You can't come in there and be like, so this is what I'm feeling about this scene. Like, I when I was working on Sugar with Colin Farrell, him and Adam Arkin were having a discussion about how Adam Arkin was the director, but he's an actor first. And it was interesting. We were doing a rehearsal and they were talking about the scene, and they were both right. It was like, basically, I played part of a huge reveal, and Adam was, as the director, was like, I have to tee up the audience. I can't just have this come out of nowhere. And Colin was like, yeah, but, like, I don't know that he's bad. Like, and they were going back and forth. And it was so interesting because I felt like maybe just because I wasn't involved in the dialogue, I was having the opportunity to think about it, but I'm a guest star, so I can't say anything. Like, I'm just sitting there, like, I had kind of solved the issue, I thought, in your own mind, in my own mind. And lo and behold, like, as I was thinking that thought, like, Colin goes, Cam, what do you think? Which,
now you can say something.
Right, but it sent a shiver down my spine because I got a director that cast me, and I got a number one on the call sheet who I've idolized since I was 8 years old. Like, I got a list of people I want to work with in this business, and Colin Farrell was on that list.
Yeah.
Right? But at the end of the day, I think what I've learned, and maybe from, like we said, like, the lack of boundaries I was given, I just was going to be honest. And the only ego I try to have is the ego for the project.
Good. That's my approach too. And I kept myself quiet for a long time when I was intimacy coordinating, and I was very, like, I would try to just be a yes man in a certain way of just, like, sure. Like, I mean, I had to uphold the rules that I have to uphold, but, like, I wasn't speaking up a lot. The more I started to speak up, the better people liked me, and the more people hired me.
And it was interesting, like, when But it is this strange thing about like I can't say anything because I know my place. But then when you're asked, you're like when they turn to you and say like, yeah, well, what do you think? You know, you're in this position of being like, well, I should be honest and I should speak up, and like that's what I did.
Great.
And I was like, you know what we should do is, I played the serial killer. I was like, I should walk. I snuck in the back of the house and I opened a sliding glass door, and he's asking me to go to a basement to check if there's like a girl down there, but it's all a ploy, you know. So I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm siding with Colin. Like I totally understand. And at the same token, I was like, Adam, I see what you're saying. So why don't I go to the sliding glass door, lock it before I go to the basement? Because that's fucking weird. Why would I do that? And they were both like,
boom,
let's shoot that.
Fix.
And I felt it was weird. I had this ownership when you do speak up of like, wow, I am here as a guest star and I'm performing in my lane because I understand what my job responsibilities are, and I'm here to support the cast that's here every day to tell this story. And it's so weird that when you do speak that honest truth and you are collaborative,
you're supporting. That's what you're doing. You're performing your job, which is to be supportive and like helpful.
And it gives you this sense of like, wow. But it gives you this sense of like more than, where you're like, I think I could be a series regular. Like
but you could though. Like I don't know why you ever think you wouldn't.
No. I would. I think I never. I feel like there's never a doubt. But it's nice to have moments where you're
it's reinforced in the real world.
I helped. Honestly, like I love being a supporting actor. Like I obviously would want to be leads of our own stuff, you know. But like it's so nice to be like, oh, you know what we could do. Mm-hmm. Like that's some of the best,
because you have a fresh perspective. You're not embroiled in the dynamics. You're not imbued in like the day-to-day set dynamics of whatever's going on that set.
No.
And you can come in with a fresh vibe and a regulated nervous system and just like speak some beautiful truth.
Yeah.
And do your thing and then leave.
It's interesting seeing how some sets are not like that and some sets are, and you know, especially like in the comedy world where it's like a bunch of friends who've been friends for 20 years shouting shit out from behind the camera like, oh, say this, say this, say this. And their vibes are just so collaborative, and therefore the product is better.
It's beautiful. Well, I think that what you're saying, what's striking me about what you're saying too, is that, okay, you as a person in your life are manifesting, I mean, I'm putting words in your mouth, tell me if I'm wrong, are manifesting like being a series regular, being number one on the call sheet.
When I lit that abundance candle last night,
that's what you're manifesting.
The hell yeah.
So my point is, this story illustrates it so perfectly because you're operating already in a way that person would operate. You're being respectful, you're being like kind, but you're also being super honest. And if you want to live in a world where you're received for your honesty, you have to start being that person that is honest in the world, which you're doing.
Yeah, 100%. I gotta be honest.
Hey,
I fucking dug Timothy Chalamet's SAG acceptance awards speech.
I liked it too.
When he was like, I want to be great, I was like, go get it, brother. Like I oddly saw that there was like backlash, and I was like, because he owned the truth. Someone was like, you should journal that but not say it. And I was like,
so crazy.
That's crazy because like, dude, go on and be great. Like,
why do people not want to say? It's like tall poppy syndrome. Yeah. It's like the crabs in a bucket or whatever. It's like, why do you not want people to win? Like, or win is the wrong word.
But just own
the truth of what you're desiring.
The truth of like, this award is a stepping stone to greatness. And we know that that's what that is because of the perspective shift, the opportunity shift, the financial shift. Like all that gives you the opportunity. This whole world is built on opportunity, especially in our business. It's just like, I think that's why people get mad at the nepotism thing. Mm-hmm. Like it's
but there's nepotism. The thing is,
there's nepotism in every industry.
We talk about nepotism in Hollywood, but the world is nepotism.
The world is nepotism. And honestly, like,
and it's really not a problem. Like, it can be problematic, I guess, but like, I don't personally take issue with it because I'm just like, who do I want around me when I'm being successful? People I know.
Yeah, and I actually love the people that own it. Like, I think it was like Maya Hawke was in an interview and she was asked about some audition and she was like, come on. And I just loved it. Like, I just loved, like, and honestly, she isn't great. She is deserved. Like, she's a badass performer.
Yeah, who cares? Like, I don't know. I get both sides of it, but at the same time, like, I'm too busy being in the shit of my own life and creating work and creating art. Like, I'm too busy to be fucking mad about someone whose dad got them a movie. I don't have time to care. I don't have time to care. Like, I guess there's moments of frustration.
The only frustration I probably have is my own level of like, I auditioned for that part.
Right, of course. Look, I mean,
but that's not. But it's not to say that. And I am trying to be better about also, you know, my girlfriend has said it, you have said it, like, what is meant for you will not pass you by.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think believing in that and trusting in that and just moving our focus to like how we feel, at least for me, how I feel on a day-to-day basis, and bolstering that. Like, you're doing that. You're eating your peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yeah.
You're pulling your tarot cards. You're enjoying the nostalgia of the moment. And like, that's all you can do. And you can send it in your audition and you can send it on set, and like, that's what you're doing.
Yeah. And I'm just trying to enjoy each chapter. I actually because I only tape with Caroline. Like, that's it. Like, she's such a talented actress and just a total badass when it comes to script analysis. And like, I truly wouldn't have the success rate I have, I think, in terms of turning in auditions without her watchful eye. Calls me on my bullshit, works with me, stays on the mat, all the positive things in a partner, you know? And I think that I'm trying to, instead of just opportunistically like get the job, I'm trying to now like just enjoy the audition experience that I'm having in this moment and laughing. And
it sounds so fun. You guys are like doing something together.
Oh, it's so creative. And she has so many good ideas that I feel like proud to like execute almost. You're like, it's almost like a collaboration of actor and then also like partner, and then also like director and actor. Like it's so weird that we're all asked to do this, you know. And I asked a casting director once, like, hey, what are you looking for in like a tape? I'm just curious, like just like a, you know, a dissertation on this business as we're doing right now. And she was like, you know, I hate to say this because I want it to be about you, but it's your fucking reader. If your reader is bad, I'm watching you compensate. And I was like, holy shit. No one had ever said that. They're always like, the lighting. It's like, no, bro, it's who are you opposite? Are you acting opposite? How the energy is. How's the energy? I want to feel that in the scene. Not you're like, gotta make your first moment interesting. No. Some of the best auditions are just good. Mm-hmm. Like there's no
It's like a good
kitsch.
piece.
Yeah, that's it. And I was like, wow. So there have been times where like if I have to do an audition and Caroline's not available, like I just like won't take for it.
Oh my God. Yeah. You got to get your second string.
But honestly it has, most of the time it's all good, but it really was, it's really been an adjustment to just enjoy like having the opportunity to take a swing at this.
I love this because you talked a bunch about your sports, we started with the nostalgia and the making mistakes, but you talked about like being a sports fan and like, I know we both rock climb. Like if we think about what the things that we enjoy so much in our lives are, like, why am I climbing on a fake rock wall?
Yeah.
Going up and down? What the fuck is that? I'm just having a good time.
Yeah.
And it's enjoyable and it's using my mind and my body and I feel good. Same with sports. Why are we doing that? These guys are in tight little pants. Yeah. I love it.
I don't know why I can't let go, but like I can't let go. No, but I'm with you. Like it's like, but then I'm like, you know what it is? But I saw the most interesting thing that I was like, yes, this speaks to me. Like people who are fans of, whether you're a fan of rock climbing, a fan of a sports team, when you are invested in, there's this weird thing I think people say, like, we're not giving anything back to you. I'm like, but they are, because you are invested in it.
But my point is not that it should be let go of. My point is that it should be held more tightly. Mm-hmm. And my point is to create the analogy between that and what you're doing with Caroline. Of like, for sports, for rock climbing, watching a sports game, watching rock climbing, it's just enjoying that thing in that moment.
Yeah.
And when you're taping, obviously you're taping to try to get a role, but like if you can enjoy that, like that's the shit.
And I think I can, you know, depending on who you ask, I can get a little crazy during those sports games and people are like, are you having fun? And I'm like, yeah, the passion
It's that energy
brings
you
your
said.
heart rate up, you know? It's like it's
same as the sex scenes and the killing scenes.
Yeah.
Like you're just tapping into that like visceral human feeling.
you feel alive, your skin is moving, you know?
I know, because when I get MFR, my skin is moving. Like whenever I do my myofascial release, my whole body becomes like, I say like my cells feel like they're alive and like moving around. And same when I get like really emotional or like I'm directing. When I'm directing, it's like literally a full body experience for me if I'm like having fun. Like when you and Johnny and I made that short and it was just the three of us, it was so fucking fun.
Yeah.
And I was so on, and I felt like I'm using my whole brain and my body is like on, and we're all just like collaborate. It's the best.
It is the best. It's the best experience. And I really do like, I feel like it taps into this nostalgia thing, but I have this like, you know, I'm with Leo when he said film is forever. So make it count.
Yeah.
Like, dude, we're not coming back here.
It's this moment.
And I feel like that is the drug. That is the chase.
Fuck up on purpose.
Yeah, honestly. I hope he did.
I feel like we just completed the podcast.
I think we did. Okay, dude.
Thank you for listening to The Ache. This podcast is produced by myself, Corrin Evans, and Alexis Murphy. All the music you hear is original compositions by my friend Peter Colombo. All other pertinent information will be linked in the show notes, and thank you for listening.